my name is Olga and I'm a product manager. I recently passed through Pinterest interview process. I'm still waiting for the results, but during my preparation time, I found out that I was looking for product science interview solutions, and I didn't find a full video explaining me how to pass this interview. I asked my mentor to help, and here I came to you, reading a lot of articles, watched a lot of video, and prepared with mentor. I'm ready to share all that information that I found, and I decided to collect it together, and I hope it will be useful. So let's start our preparation together. So product science interview usually about your user centricity, about checking your user empathy. You need to show how good you are in product discovery, and of course, by resolving case, you need to show that you're good not only in product discovery and communication, how you're good with team, how you collaborative person, and everything you can mention. By some small words. Maybe you have very relevant experience to the current position, you can mention it, of course, but by resolving your case. So question that can be asked, normally it's something like improve product X. For example, improve Instagram, or launch live in Instagram. Let's say there is no live streams in Instagram, launch it, design it. Or it can be some crazy questions, something like design ship for journey to Mars, and you need to do it. Questions can be a bit different. It can be even crazy questions, but basically it's something that you can resolve by conducting some discovery, some interview, some data, putting everything together. So they want to check how you react for these uncertain situations in terms of how you're making the product decisions, how you're making your product sense. I'd like to start from general tips, and first one, find a mentor. This is very important. Mentor can help you provide the feedback, and probably, I hope, it's someone experienced, ideally a hiring manager, and so the person who knows the process from the other side, not only like candidate. And even if you find good videos, good materials, good articles, if you have opportunity, do not hesitate to ask help and invest the time for preparation, and invest in your preparation wisely. So the next thing that you need to take care, that's your time. My interview was 45 minutes, but let's say 5 minutes for introduction, 5 minutes for questions in the end, and it can be also like questions like tell me about yourself or one behavioral question. So don't rely on your 45 minutes. For your case, you have maximum 35 minutes. Better if you can do it in 25-30 minutes. So every time when you practice it at home, do two things: practice it out loud and with timer. Honestly, I'm not good at this, and it took me usually at least 35 minutes. And I passed 2 product science interview in Pinterest, and the second one I had lack of time. It was maybe it was crucial. So structure, that's your everything. You need to know your structure by heart, and don't be afraid if the case will be something like create the teleport for Google. Doesn't matter. Create a table for blind people. Doesn't matter. You can do it even if you didn't prepare this kind of crazy cases. You have your structure, follow your structure. But the most important thing about structure, tell about this to your interviewer, because interviewers, they have criteria. For example, they have MVP criteria. They need to understand, are you gonna cover it? Or maybe you even don't think about talking about MVP in the end. And In this case, in the middle of interview, if you're still like somewhere in the beginning, they will rush you and they will become nervous because they don't know, are you going to talk about this or not? We have lack of time. And the best thing that you can do for your interview is to talk about structure in the beginning. For example, even maybe before clarifying questions, you can say, let me tell you about the structure that I'm gonna follow to put us on the same page. Does it sound good? And after you talking about structure and your interviewer is happy, he maybe also thinks that you have logical thinking skills and put this and tick this box. So the next tip can seems too obvious, but I will repeat. You need to understand clearly all details, all CGM of your case. The situation that happened with me, I had a product which I know clearly, and I had a feature which was, I thought it was understandable, but my interviewer was from USA. And apparently, credit and debit cards in the USA works differently than in Europe. And it didn't come to my mind. I didn't expect that it can be. And as a result, already when I discussed all goals that when I talked about North Star metric, top line metric, my interviewer asked me like, "Do you understand that we do this?" And I was like, "Hmm, no, I didn't understand some detail about cards, how it works, and the product wasn't fintech, by the way, and it ruined all my line of thoughts. So don't do this mistake. Ask your interviewer clarifying questions. Practice, 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 practice. This is that kind of interview, even if you have all knowledge, even if you have all experience. If you never had this kind of interview, you need to practice a lot. You need to practice out loud. You need to solve the case on time. You need to adapt how to create solutions, pain points very fast. You have like 1 minute roughly to think about each point, each bullet in your structure. So this is the skill that you can train. Of course, in real life, we don't need to think about solutions in 1 minute, but in the interview, for the sake of exercise, we need. So we need to be adapted, and not only for easy cases, we need to be prepared to resolve difficult cases, creative cases. What they're gonna check on the interview? I think it depends on company, but basically they're gonna check your user empathy. You need to show that you're very user-centric, that you love to conduct plenty of interviews and different types of pieces of research, and you need to show this. If you don't talk about this, interviewer doesn't know. And this is one of the most crucial things about this interview. And each stage, you need to put very naturally things like, oh, here I would go to this kind of research. And here I would like to talk with customers. And you need, after all this interview, after resolving the case, interviewer need to have understanding that you have this experience and that you're doing it as a normal practice. All types of research that you know, it's good to mention. If you want to mention your teamwork, you need to mention. And this is very important. Otherwise, how interviewer will understand that you like to create brainstorms or design sprint with your team? So this is your opportunity to show it. So first part of our structure, clarifying questions. This is very important part of the interview because you need to understand what they want. And here you can ask questions like, what is my role in this project? Maybe I'm a PM of some particular part of the product, or I'm PM of the whole product. And you can ask about your limitations in terms of budget, timeline, size of the team, which kind of resources do you have in terms of team, like designers and front end, back end. But also, these questions you can leave for the next parts, and this is okay as well. I know that sometimes people ask here why question, like why we decided to do this improvement, why they decided to launch this feature. And Interior can provide you some information. I personally prefer to ask why question in the moment that we are ready to set up the goal. And I usually do it by the method. So I ask, do you know why we decided to improve the product? Or I'm free to make my assumptions. And I think that my ability to make assumptions is valuable, and interiors often give me the opportunity, yeah, create your own assumptions. This is better. If you didn't mention it in the beginning, this is the most crucial part of the interview. You need to say, let me tell you about the structure, and tell interior about the structure that we're discussing right now. Cover this question once in the beginning and be free to follow your agenda. Next point that I personally like to discuss is mission and product strategy. And here I usually explain why I'm going to discuss it. My explanation is because we need to set up the goal. If my task was improve Instagram, okay, cool, but what kind of improvements do they expect? Do they understand why? We need to set up the goal. But before setting up the goal, I believe as a product manager that goal always should be aligned with product strategy. It can't be different. So we need to talk about product strategy, but product strategy should be aligned with mission. And here the moment that maybe I'm not sure what's the mission of Instagram, and especially what's the product strategy of Instagram. Of course, I can read some things. Okay, about Meta, I know approximately that their mission is to bring people together and give them opportunity to create community, something like this. And this is okay. Here I just need to explain, I don't know clearly the mission of Instagram. Let me just tell you my assumption, how it can be. I think it's this. If you want, you can correct me, or we can presume together that the mission of Instagram is like this, and usually they're okay. And after the same thing about product strategy, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what's the product strategy of Instagram, especially because it's hidden information. But let's presume that mission that the product strategy of Instagram is to do one, two, three. And does it sound good for you, or do you want to correct me here or add some points crucial for the next points? And usually it's good, or maybe if you're thinking in a bit wrong direction, interior can help you here. So I think it should be the dialogue, and you need to constantly asking the feedback on all your points. So it's an interview, it's not a monologue. So here you just need to keep going according to a structure and make some assumptions. Um, the thing that here I already would mention is how we actually build the product strategy. What knowledge do we need to build the product strategy, especially if it's not exist in company? And here I would stop, and I can say something like this. Okay, here I need to stop for a while and to tell that in normal life I would go to this kind of research, and I need to bring all this information together, and after I would have some insights. I would prove these insights, and I would get my product strategy. And after from all this when I have product strategy, I need to do this piece of research and prioritize the goals. And here is the moment when we can talk about goal. So talking about goal, we need to recall, if we didn't ask interior in the beginning about why we decided to, let's say, improve Instagram, we can say like this. Okay, here we need to set up the goal. I'd like to do it together. So I can make some assumptions why we decided to improve Instagram, or you can tell me like if you have some particular aspects that you want me to improve, and they say if they have some particular aspects or not. After you can say, okay, may I ask you why we decided to improve these particular aspects, or I can make my own assumptions. And here again, they can tell you, or you make new assumptions. If it's time to make assumption, you can say something like this. So in normal life, probably I would go to conduct this kind of researches. What kind of researches do we have? We have product data, this is metrics and some queries in product, or like all kind of data that we can have from our product. It can be user data, our UX tests, interviews, maybe surveys, something like this. It can be customer data, which is from customer service, like everything that people text to support, every time that they mention us in social media, what they text to us, like maybe they text a lot, like Instagram, please improve our feeds, improve our stories. What's next? Of course, it's market and competitors research. So all this piece of information we can bring together, and by one of these source or several sources, we can get some insights to create hypotheses. For example, that for us it's very important to improve reels because we conducted competitors research. We see that short videos is very popular format, and also we can see from our product data that people spend less time in Instagram than in previous year, and we're losing our customers. Um, we need to conquer with competitors. That's why I can presume that we decided that we need to improve reels immediately. Doesn't sound okay, doesn't sound good. And here Interior will give you some tips if he thinks that that's okay, or if he wants you to move to different direction and improve some different part of the product. The next part is user segmentation. Here again, how we in real life, how we do user segmentation. Probably we do some research, probably we get in some product data, and we need to explain it to the Interior. And after we're telling, but for the sake of exercise, let me rely on my product intuition and split users by this kind of segments. And here I need to say that you need to, this is the first step, that you really need to think carefully about user segments. And here is the moment then you can say, and you should if you need, give me 30 seconds or give me 1 minute, please. I will think about user segments. This is very important because you need to follow your structure. So take 1 minute, deep breath, and think about user segments. It's always good to think about user segments in terms of different kind of users. I'm not talking about geography, demography, and even social roles. It's good to mention that there is this kind of user segmentation, we can do it, but now I decided, like, I would like first to split by roles in product. For example, if we're talking about Instagram, it's content consumers, content creators, advertisers, right? Also, we can think about user segments that can be important in our case. For example, in terms of Pinterest, we can split users by demography, because there is a fact that 70% of users in Pinterest are women. So maybe it makes sense to split users by segments like female, male, kids, and after to pick up, let's say, men segment as a less represented segment and potentially very very nice for the company. So in terms of user segmentation, you need to first explain how you would go with what kind of researches. Second, you need to explain, you need to divide by segments wisely. And third, you need to explain to interviewer how, by what reason you decided to pick up one of segments for the sake of exercise. And one of tips here is that you need to talk about data, but also you need to make broad assumptions. You need to show that you have good product intuition. Of course, you rely on data. You're very user-centric, but also you have a good product intuition, which helps you. And here you need to pick up one of user segments. Do it wisely. Think about this. Think about the most potential segment. You don't need to choose segments just which interesting for the exercise. No, if you have some goal like increase engagement, for example, you need to think which user segment is the biggest one, or maybe one of segments is so poor that you can improve it, like maybe there are some low-hanging fruits. So you need to think about this and to make a right choice, even though in this kind of exercise there are no right choices, there are no right answers. Some of them can be wrong. And last thing, talking about user segmentation, think about goal. On each next step, when you will discuss, you need to think about goal again and again. This is important not only to keep in mind, but talk about this out loud for the interviewer. Show the interviewer that you remember about goal. It can be one of criteria. Next point is user pain points. Here it can be a bit easier already because we are approximately in the middle, we're already following the structure, and here we need to repeat things. First, ask 1 minute for thinking, maybe 30 seconds, depends on you, because depends on how did you train this skill to create user pain points. After, not out loud, but think about goal. Think about this, because if all your pain points will be missing your goal, it will be difficult to solve the case in the end. So think about goal. After talk about pain points, mention about kind of about all types of discovery that you would like to have, all data that you would like to have, and say that for the sake of exercise, I'm ready to use my product intuition again, and just during my 1 minute brainstorm, this is pain points that came to my mind. It sounds very good. You can ask interviewer, doesn't sound okay. Always ask the feedback. Always leave the time to give them feedback. Always ask if they are ready to move on for the next point. So, pain points, talk about it, talk about prioritization. How to prioritize? You need just to explain how would you do it in real life. Probably you would go to conduct UX test or customer interview. Probably you would get some hypothesis and you would like to prove this hypothesis that this pain point really exists, that this pain point is massive, and you need some quantitative research for this thing. So mention it and say like, okay, but now we don't have any data, and going with my cool product intuition, I think that I would put this pain point for the first place, because like I personally had this pain point. I've heard from my friends. Once I conducted an interview with customer and he mentioned this, so I think that I'm safe to go with this pain point. What do you think about this? Does it sound good? Sounds okay? Always ask this. And probably this is the moment that interviewer ask you some clarifying questions like, okay, but why did you decide to go with pain point number 2, not with pain point number 1? For me, it sounds good. And this is the moment when you need to show that you're both flexible, you can listen to the feedback, but also you believe in your research. So here, basically, my advice, maybe try to explain how or why did you choose exactly this pain point, and try to explain why this is the hardest, the biggest pain point. So, and here we are, finally, solutions. If you watched any video about product sense preparation, you probably already saw the main tips that everybody gives, which is very valuable. Don't jump into solutions. So yes, we didn't jump, we're already in the, I would say, almost in the end, and this is important part. It doesn't so important what kind of solutions you will create. Nobody expect you to have very good solutions, but of course, if you have some creativity, if you show your um, pragmatical approach, if you show some approaches, which is nice. I think talking about pain points, user segmentation, and solutions, it's okay if you have like 3, 4 solutions, that's okay. Sometimes 5, maybe, no more. So in terms of solution, we're doing the same thing. The same thing we're doing for user segmentation, for pain points, and for solutions. Ask 1 minute to think, maybe less. After mention the goal, and after talk about solutions. Maybe the opposite. You can talk about solutions after mention the goal, and after talk about prioritization. Talking about prioritization, my personal approach is that I first mention like if it's feasible. So I check feasibility, especially if it was brainstorm and we created some crazy solutions. Like it's good to have one crazy solution, something like VR, AR, teleport, something which not not feasible at all, but it shows that you can think broadly, think creatively. So after we we don't consider solutions that not feasible and speak how it aligns with the goal. And because usually for me in my working life, not for the interview, it's the most important criteria honestly. And honestly, after this criteria, often it's so simple to choose the best solution. That's why I leave it for the last, and talk about RICE. I mentioned RICE or ICE framework. Talk that for the sake of exercise, let's go with a simpler version, which is impact versus effort. Think about the solutions in terms of impact and effort. And after, as a third point, I mentioned that this is the most important part. Our solution should be aligned with our goal. And here we're talking about, and here we picking up the solution. Maybe interior can have some questions, but if not, we need to move very fast because probably we already don't have time and don't have too much time, and we need to talk about MVP. You can again, if you have time, you can again take like 30 minutes to think if you need, and you can think about approaches that can help you here. You can mention fake door as a not as an MVP, but as a thing that can check your hypothesis before implementing the solution. And after, you need to think about MVP, which can be okay in this case, and explain how you would go. After, you can mention that as a rollout, we would do this. And after, you're talking about metrics. It's not the most important part of this interview because probably you have product execution interview and you talk in details about metrics there, but here you need to understand, like, again, you're talking about goals and talking about metrics. And after, bonus part, which if you have time, it's good to discuss risks and how to mitigate these risks. Usually, in terms of risks, it can be something like, okay, one of risks that nobody needs it. So let's say we did all piece of research and we launched it, and after all, nobody needs this cool feature that as we thought that is cool. So how to mitigate it? We need to double check it like this, like this kind of research, piece of research, this kind of research, and maybe we can also create a fake door, or maybe we can also you need to think, maybe it's legal risk and you need to extra consultancy with lawyers, something like this. So this is the end. I saw in some videos that they suggest to summarize it. Honestly, I personally didn't have time, and I think that you're lucky if you have time to talk about risks. So, like, this is already cool because like you resolved the case, and yeah, probably some kind of summarization can be good. Like, so we resolved the case. According to our case, we decided to go with this solution to cover this goal, and hopefully it sounds good or something like this. So I hope this video was useful for you. I decided to make this video because I found out that there is a lack of information in video format and honestly in articles as well. I hope it will help you to prepare to interview. Don't forget to try to find mentor. If you need video how to find a good mentor, leave comments and I will make this video. If you need some clarification moments and I didn't cover something, if you have some questions, leave comments and I will answer, or I will create the video. And probably we can make a video with mock interview as well to polish all information that I provided in this video. So leave comments, leave likes if this video was useful, share with friends, and good luck in your interviews.